After learning how to assess maturity and report it with confidence, you now face a question that many organizations struggle with. Does the Essential 8 still apply when systems move to the cloud? The short answer is yes, but how it applies changes. Cloud and hybrid environments do not remove cyber risk. They redistribute it. Servers may no longer sit in your data center, but attackers still target identities, configurations, data, and recovery gaps. This lecture helps you understand how to apply the Essential 8 beyond on-prem systems without forcing outdated thinking onto modern platforms. The Australian Cybersecurity Centre is clear on this point. Moving to the cloud does not reduce your responsibility for security outcomes. It changes the shape of that responsibility. One of the biggest mental shifts you need to make is letting go of the idea that security controls must look the same everywhere. In on-prem environments, controls are often host-centric. You harden servers, patch operating systems, and restrict access directly on machines you own. In cloud and hybrid environments, many of those responsibilities move up the stack, especially in managed services. Applying the Essential 8 in the cloud means focusing less on where the system runs and more on what outcome the control is trying to achieve. The strategy stays the same. The implementation changes. In cloud and hybrid environments, identity replaces the traditional network boundary. Users, administrators, services, and applications authenticate over the internet. This makes identity one of the most valuable attack targets. If attackers can authenticate successfully, they often do not need to exploit infrastructure at all. This is why Essential 8 strategies such as MFA and restricting administrative privileges become even more critical in the cloud. Identity controls must be consistent, enforced, and visible across on-prem and cloud systems. For you, this means thinking about identity as a shared control plane, not an add-on. Strong identity protection is no longer optional. It is foundational. Software as a service platforms often feel out of scope for traditional security thinking. You do not manage the operating system. You do not patch the application. You may not even control where the data is stored. This can create a false sense of security. In reality, Essential 8 principles still apply. You may not patch SaaS platforms, but you are responsible for access control, configuration, data protection, and recovery options. MFA, privilege restriction, backup strategies, and monitoring remain squarely in your domain. The mistake many organizations make is assuming SaaS security is fully handled by the provider. In truth, SaaS shifts responsibility toward identity and governance rather than infrastructure. Platform as a service sits in the middle ground, and this is where confusion often grows. Cloud providers handle the underlying infrastructure and operating systems, but you are still responsible for application configuration, access control, data handling, and secure deployment practices. If vulnerabilities exist in how platforms are configured or used, attackers will exploit them. Applying the Essential 8 here means ensuring that identity, access, patching responsibilities, and recovery mechanisms are clearly understood and enforced, even if the underlying platform is managed for you. Infrastructure as a service environments feel more familiar because they resemble traditional servers. You still manage operating systems, patching, access, and backups. The difference is that infrastructure is now software defined, highly dynamic, and often internet exposed by default. This increases both flexibility and risk. Controls such as application control, patching, privilege restriction, and backups must be automated and consistently enforced, or they quickly fall behind the pace of change. In IaaS, the Essential 8 often fails, not because it is irrelevant, but because manual processes cannot keep up. The shared responsibility model explains who is responsible for what in cloud environments, but it is often misunderstood. Cloud providers are responsible for the security of the cloud. You are responsible for security in the cloud. This distinction matters. Providers secure physical facilities, underlying infrastructure, and core services. You secure identities, configurations, data, and how services are used. Essential 8 outcomes sit largely on your side of that boundary. If something goes wrong, the cloud provider is rarely the answer auditors or regulators accept for you. Understanding this model is critical to avoiding dangerous assumptions. Most organizations do not move fully to the cloud overnight. They operate in hybrid environments where on-prem and cloud systems coexist. This is where inconsistency becomes dangerous. Different identity systems, different patching approaches, and different access models create gaps attackers can exploit. Applying the Essential 8 consistently across hybrid environments means aligning identity, privilege, and recovery strategies across platforms, even when technical implementations differ. Consistency of outcome matters more than consistency of tools. One common mistake is assuming cloud services are secure by default. Another is focusing heavily on infrastructure security while neglecting identity and access controls. In cloud environments, misconfigured access is often more dangerous than unpatched servers. A third mistake is failing to adapt backup and recovery strategies to cloud-native services. Traditional backup assumptions do not always apply, and recovery must be tested explicitly. These mistakes are not technical failures, they are mindset failures. Good implementation does not mean forcing on-prem controls into the cloud unchanged. It means understanding each Essential 8 strategy's intent and applying it appropriately across SaaS, PaaS, IaaS, and on-prem systems. It means clear ownership, consistent identity controls, and tested recovery capabilities. Most importantly, it means being able to explain and defend how Essential 8 outcomes are achieved, regardless of where systems run. By the end of this lecture, you should feel confident that the Essential 8 is not outdated by cloud adoption. Instead, it becomes more important. Cloud and hybrid environments increase speed and flexibility, but they also increase the cost of mistakes. The Essential 8 provides a stable set of outcomes that anchor security decision making as technology evolves. In the next lecture, you will explore continuous improvement and threat evolution, and how Essential 8 maturity must adapt over time rather than remain static. If this lecture helped you understand how the Essential 8 applies in cloud and hybrid environments, please subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share your thoughts in the comments. This is a free educational channel and it costs you nothing, but your support genuinely makes a difference. It helps keep this channel running and supports the creation of clear, practical cybersecurity education for everyone.